Okay, welcome everybody. Can you all hear me? I mean, anyone? If you can. Welcome to our monthly September meeting. We're just going to have a few quick announcements, and then we'll jump right into our content for this evening, where Steve, Rosemary, and myself are going to share some hikes that we've gone on over the years, some of our favorite hikes. So it should be interesting. If you have questions as we go, please feel free to drop them into chat. We'll have somebody monitoring that. I think you're able to probably unmute yourself, so keep yourself muted if you're not talking. But if you do want to ask a question, feel free. This is fairly informal process. So without further ado, we'll get started. Just a few quick announcements. Let's see what's going on here. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve for a few political announcements, and he'll tell us all about the upcoming events that are going on. As you know, we're facing the most important election probably of any of our lives coming up here in a few short weeks. So lots to do to prepare for that. One plug I'll throw out, if you're looking for concrete action that you can take. What I've done, this is sponsored by the Sierra Club, is I've signed up. I'm not much for phone banking, although we do have some opportunities for that if that's your thing. But I do think letter writing, personal letter writing, can be very effective. And so the Sierra Club's stated goal is to send 1 million letters to voters who are on the fence or in particular battleground states to get out the vote. And so what you can do, you can sign up for this. They will send you, they'll start with 10. They'll send you 10 letters that you just print out. They have the person's name and address on there. You print the letter. It's already typed with all the stuff in it. It has a space for you to write 2 or 3 personalized sentences about why you think it's important for them to get out to vote. Sign your name down at the bottom. Stuff it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, address it, and mail it. We're asking for people to not mail those letters until there's some date towards the end of October. I want to say it's October 20th, October 22nd, but all the info is there. I will put the info to how to sign up for this in our group chat. And so then you can get on there, just sign up. They'll send you a batch of 10 letters. If you print those, over the next week or two, and you want another batch of 10 letters, you can do that. And again, the Sierra Club's stated goal is to have 1 million letters sent out, and we'll send those out just a week or two before election. So that's one thing. Steve will tell us more about the upcoming political stuff here in a minute. And then one more comment that I'll make, just in our local group. We've all been hard hit with all of 2020, right? The coronavirus, the social issues that are going on, murder hornets, right? Dual hurricanes. Who saw that coming? So a lot of stuff going on. It's hard for us to connect as environmentalists and activists, and we are actively recruiting or asking our members to become just a little more involved by participating in some of our leadership calls. So we used to call them kind of our XCOM or executive committee calls. We're kind of changing that up just a little bit because we want to encourage people to just join. They're open to the public or open to Sierra Club members. We do them once a month. Typically, our date has been the second Tuesday of every month. We couldn't do it last week for a variety of reasons. So we're doing one tonight. It's a Zoom call. It's right after this call. And if you're interested, just let me know in chat and I can send you a Zoom link. Alternatively, if it's something you want to do next month or the month after that, with, again, no commitment, just come and see what we're all about. We have a variety of openings on our XCOM. We have a number of committees that we'd like to form, conservation committees and so on and so forth, that really don't have anyone assigned to membership committees, that don't have anyone assigned to those roles. So just looking for a little help. You can put in as much effort or as little. It's strictly a volunteer thing. So just sending out a unabashed plea for some help there with that. So let me know either via chat or send me an email. I think it's Jerry_Kingsley@yahoo.com. I can stick it in the chat. It's also there on our website. So if you just go to just Google for Sierra Club Charlotte, our website will pop right up, and all of our contact information is out there. So do let me know if that's something that you would like to do, or feel like you'd like to just poke your head in and see what we're all about. Would love to have you. So that's what I've got for announcements. Steve?
Thanks, Jerry. Okay, so as Jerry mentioned, obviously an extremely critical political year. The Sierra Club does do endorsements. We do them at the federal level, like Joe Biden's endorsed, the state level, Cooper, and then even down to the local level with county commissioners. While we are nonpartisan, I'll have to say that it's really easy this time because all our endorsements are for Democrats. That includes the judges, which in the past have been nonpartisan, but if you get your ballot, you'll see that the judges are also partisan. So you can vote for the endorsed candidates, which are all Democrats. We have 3 competitive county commission races. We haven't made the endorsements yet, but we should get that done this week, and I'm sure it will be the 3 district races with the 3 Democrats running for election there. There's one nonpartisan race on the ballot that people have asked about, the Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor. There are 4 people running for one position, and 3 of them are viable candidates. They've all sent in questionnaires. It may be very difficult for us to reach a consensus on that. If that's the case, we'll post the questionnaires for you to review and make your own decision on. So first vote, but then also, as Jerry said, there are opportunities to get involved. I think the letter writing thing is a great one. There are, believe it or not, people who are out there who don't vote and or might even not know who they're going to vote for, and those letters could make a difference. We really need to do all that we can. Okay, that's for political. And then quickly on conservation, we're following a few different things. City Council still working on the Strategic Energy Action Plan. County commissioners are considering a clean energy resolution and an action plan, and they'll be making things available for us next month to review. So the county commissioners will be looking for input from citizens, and we'll follow up with you on that. There's also work going on with revisions to the tree canopy. There is an opportunity for public input on that, and we'll get that information out to you also. So that's it for political and conservation very quickly. And now I'm going to start our hikes. Let's see if I can get this right. Got it, slideshow. All right, the first hike is one that you're probably not really expecting because this is something special, and I'm just calling it an urban hike. And this is right now an opportunity on Tryon Street to see the Cool Globes, a public outdoor art exhibit. You can enjoy art, learn a bit about the environment, and get a nice walk in. The posters on Tryon say through October, but it's been extended to January 3rd because of COVID. And 31 of the 35 globes are on Tryon Street. Each one has a theme. You can see there's a plaque at the bottom of it. And I've just got a few of them that I'm going to show you. This first one where it says no motor vehicles, it's encouraging bike riding. It's called, the theme is pedal power. This next one is called Unplugged Fun. They're trying to get kids to stop being in the house with the video games and get out and do something that's fun outside. This one talks about the importance of servicing your car and how you can improve your mileage and cut down on emissions by doing a good job of servicing your car. This one talks about recycling. And this one talks about a circular economy. So up and down Tryon Street, and it's a nice walk and weather's getting great. So now's the time to get out, and hope you'll take advantage of that. Okay, so now I should be stopping sharing and turning it over to Rosemary.
Hi, I'm Rosemary. I'm the co-chair for the Sierra Club Outings Committee, and I'm going to share some favorite hikes with you today. Let me get mine, hold on. Okay, give me just a second. Share the screen. Okay, so the first hike that we're going to, I'm going to show you is the Basin Creek hike, which is part of Doughton Park. I have a video here, and I'm going to give credit to David McKenzie for that video. Let me just watch it. Okay, so Basin Creek takes you deep into a secluded gorge. It follows a path that was used by people for 150 years from the Basin community. In 1916, a flood roared through the valley and it wiped out most of the community except for Caudill Cabin, which still stands today. You're going to, on this trail, you'll pass 2 waterfalls and a lot of historical remnants from Basin Cove community. It is a stream crossing trail, so it is recommended that you wear shoes that you can cross streams with. The hike is 10 miles out and back with a 1,500-foot elevation gain. It is rated difficult, and I suggest you do this during the summertime when the weather is hot because you are going to be walking through cool water. The trail can be accessed off of US 21 just past the Stone Mountain entrance on Long Bottom Road. And in this first picture, you see Caudill Cabin. So I'm going to start the video for you. Okay, so I will turn it back over to Jerry for the next hike.
All right, cool. So let me see if I can do this here. So I am going to share my presentation. Gotta hit the share button. All right. Yeah, so I have a number of hikes that I'm going to talk about. Oh, we're going to flip-flop back and forth between us. We'll see how many of these I actually get to. But I put together some hikes. There are many, I have many favorite places in the world. One of them is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So the first one I want to talk about, well, I've got actually a little bit of a map here. So this is a map of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and it shows the hikes that I have in my list. The first one I'm going to talk about here is the Mount Camerer hike. From there, I'll talk a little bit about the Cades Cove loop. That is typically a motor loop. It's an 11-mile paved road that is often thronged with motorists. But every Wednesday, they shut down the road entirely for the entire day. It used to be Saturday mornings and Wednesday mornings for a couple of hours. Now they shut it down for the entire day, Wednesday to car traffic, so you can ride a bicycle around that loop. And I'll show you that one, and then I'll show you the others kind of as we get to them. So Mount Camerer. This was a one-way hike that I went on. I've been on a number of times. The one I'm going to show you is with my daughter Rebecca, who happens to be on this call with us. We parked cars at the two opposite ends of the trail. So we left one car at Big Creek, which is in North Carolina, and then we drove over to the Cosby campground on the Tennessee side, and then we went up the ridge along the Appalachian Trail, hit the mountain, Mount Camerer, where there's an old fire tower, and then along the AT some more, and then back down the other side to Big Creek. And so it was a grueling hike. It was more strenuous than I had expected. It was about a 12-mile hike, and the first half of it is kind of uphill the whole way, especially up from Cosby up to, there's a map of it, up to the Appalachian Trail. So can you see me waving my mouse? So we started here at the Cosby campground, and we went up this low gap trail up to this dotted line is the Appalachian Trail. So this was about 3 miles straight up the side of that mountain. It was pretty strenuous. Once we got to the AT, it was okay, fairly level. There's a little spur trail up there to Mount Camerer, and then we carried on along the Appalachian Trail, and then down into the North Carolina side over here to the Big Creek Ranger Station, where we had left another car. So about 12 miles the whole way. So there's the one of the signs when we actually had finished the 3 miles up. We finally got to the Appalachian Trail, so I was like, yay. Took that sign. It was an interesting hike, quite strenuous. There's my daughter. There's Rebecca, standing on the fire tower, looking out. I'm not 100% sure which direction that is. I want to say that's northish. So that would be, in towards the Tennessee side of the park. There's another view, again, from the tower. Beautiful, gorgeous views on this trail, especially once you get up to the old tower. These old fire towers were actually active until, I want to say, quite recently, certainly in my lifetime. So into the 60s and 70s, that was the chief way that people would watch for forest fires. They would literally man these towers, looking out to see if fires occurred. So you can see some of the towns and some of the in the background. This was a winter hike, so it was, I don't know if it was January or February, but so it was not as freezing cold as you would expect, but definitely nippy enough to wear coats and jackets on the way up. Another view, this is looking into the North Carolina side, and you can see some of a little ridge that's a little closer, and then another ridge, kind of farther out. There's me, just so I can prove that I was there at the top of the tower. Now this tower, I say the top of the tower, it was up on a rock, and then there was a tower. I don't know if I have a shot of it, with one flight of wooden steps up to the tower, and then that rotunda at the top where you could go in. That's where we had our lunch, in out of the wind. But it's not one of those big towers that have the back and forth steps. I don't really do those. This one was actually within my realm of, I tend to be a little nervous around heights. This was within my realm of abilities there. So another shot with my daughter over the, looking out over the peak of some rock. There's the rock, just the rock by itself. So there's that hike. There's another little view. Again, you can kind of see some of the trees in the foreground there. That's a picture of the Appalachian Trail once we got down. That bit of the Appalachian Trail has been around. It's probably closing in on 100 years now that trail has been around. You can see the wear and tear on the trail. The trail, as you look down the trail, it's kind of U-shaped, right, from all the people walking in the center, and it builds up what's called a berm on either side of the trail. So there's that one. That's what I have. I'll do the Cades Cope Louvre next, but I'll turn it back over to Steve for his next hike first.
Okay. Let's get. Okay, this is going to be one of my favorites, Moses Cone Memorial Park, up in the Blowing Rock area off the Blue Ridge Parkway, milepost 294. 3,600 acre estate that was donated to the public by the Cone family. And there are 25 miles of carriage trails. So this is a very moderate, easy kind of hike to take. Great introductory hike that actually gives you a good amount of exercise going uphill, and but it's still easy because the trails are so nice and smooth, and you do end up with great views of the mountain. When you get in the parking lot, right next to the parking lot is the Manor House. This was the summer home of Moses Cone and Bertha Cone. Moses Cone was an industrialist who is known as the Denim King.
I'm sorry, Steve, let me interrupt. I'm not sure that you're sharing.
Oh, okay. Let me get back. Okay, you got it now?
Yes, thanks a million.
Thank you for the reminder. Okay, I just showed the sign at the beginning, and I'm talking about the Manor House and Moses Cone and Bertha, Moses the Denim King. This the Manor House was completed in 1901, and currently it's an arts and crafts center. You can go in and see nice things by from local North Carolina artists. There's also a ranger station inside. This is a National Park Service property on the Blue Ridge Parkway. So you can go inside, and at the ranger desk, you can get information about the Blue Ridge Parkway and any of the hikes on the 25 miles of carriage trails that are in the park. This is the view standing from the mansion looking down, and you see Bass Lake, which is a nice 5-mile round trip hike downhill, but we're going to take a hike uphill. This is the beginning of the hike. This is where it crosses under the Blue Ridge Parkway. And you can see how nice and smooth the trail is. And very easy to, you could use running shoes, and it's nice to be able to have a casual hike where you could stand next to each other talking and not worry about tripping over rocks or anything else. This is the Flat Tower Trail, the top one there, 2.5 miles, round trip 5 miles. At the beginning, you go past a nice farm area. And of course, there you can see cows in a nice farm area. Lots of flowers on the hike. I don't know the names of these, but you'll see a variety of different flowers during the spring and summer and early fall. And plenty of butterflies as well. It's not a monarch, but we did see a monarch, and that's milkweed that monarchs like. And the way this hike goes is first there's a forest area. After that short farm area, there's a forest area you walk through, then an open meadow area, and then another forest area. And this is a great view of Grandfather Mountain in the distance. And that's me in the same view. And this is just a little bit further, another nice view of the valley going uphill. And you can see it's going to wind around to the right and get into the next forest area. These pictures are actually just very recent from a couple weeks ago in the summer. It's a great time to go because when it's 90 degrees in Charlotte, it's in the 70s up there. We had a beautiful day. It looks a little bit cloudy, but it really wasn't very cloudy. I've gone in different seasons and it's also nice. And I stuck a picture in the next one. Shows it in the fall season. It's also a beautiful time of year to be there. All right, now this is looking back down into from the forest area where we've gone up to a little bit more. You can see the valley down below. As I said, lots of flowers. Turk's cap lily is one of my favorite. And in season, there's mountain laurel and rhododendron. And I believe that's the mountain laurel. And that should be the rhododendron. And if I'm wrong and I got them reversed, well, I'm not a flower expert. But there are actually 2 times when rhododendrons bloom, different types in both June and July. When you get to the top of the last forest area, that's the lookout tower at the top, about a 4-story climb. Great views from the top. This is looking forward north to Boone area. Really beautiful, you're really up there. Yep, I made it. And this is the view of Grandfather Mountain from the tower. So you saw it below. In the previous slides earlier, you saw it down from the valley. This is a view from up in the tower, and there's Grandfather over there. Okay, I'm going to turn it over now to Rosemary. I'll come back with Elk Knob on my next turn.
Okay. So the next trail that I want to talk about is Gully Creek. Just not. Oops. Gully Creek Trail, which is part of Cumberland Knob Park. It's off the Blue Ridge Parkway off milepost number 217. Cumberland Knob Park kind of offers an area for you to have a family picnic. It does have easier trails like along the top, but the Gully Creek Trail is strenuous, but it rewards you of views of delightful mountain streams and many plants that live along its cool banks. It is a 2.2-mile loop with an 869-foot elevation gain. It is rated difficult. The best use is May until October because Cumberland Knob Park closes in October and it stays closed until May. So here's just kind of a picture of the trail going down into the gully. As you can see, it's fern covered. A fairly easy trail to use, not too many roots and things that you could trip over. Here's part of the creek. The creek crossings are fairly simple, mostly rock hop. It has like small waterfalls throughout the creek. There's another like creek area. There is one bridge that crosses the creek. This is kind of a sunrise hike. I live off the Blue Ridge Parkway, so I have the luxury of being on the trail at the crack of dawn. Again, it's fern covered, very nice trail. So there you have the sign for Gully Creek Trail and picnic grounds, and that kind of covers that for that trail. So I'll turn it back over to Jerry.
Okay, so share my screen again, share my PowerPoint again. All right, so Cades Cove. So if I can get this page down to work here. What's going on here? Okay, there we go. So this is what the road looks like through Cades Cove. It's a one-way road, so even when it's open to car traffic, it's still just one way. It's a one-lane road, but this is what we got to bike along for. It's about 11 miles there, and again, they close it. Again, used to be 2 mornings a week. Now it's all day every Wednesday. The Cove in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is on the western side. It's up in the northwestern side, so it's in Tennessee, on the Tennessee side, but to the west. And it's lower elevation, so it's not as mountainous. But this was a shot one morning. It was out there biking in the morning, and the sky was just beautiful. And you can kind of see the mist kind of hanging in the background across some of these. Not a crystal clear day in terms of the cloud cover, but just a beautiful ride. There's me. That was even then I'm looking a little. That was back when I was not quite as chubby as I am now, based on the COVID thing. At one of the kind of overlooks. So typically cars would park there and look out over the fields. That was kind of me on my bike. There's another. You can see the mist in the background just over the tree line. You can kind of see the mist still rising there. So if you're fortunate enough to be there in the early morning, you can kind of see that mist there. So there's another shot of that. Another shot with the split rail fence and more of the roads. So just a beautiful meander. And if you're want to ride on your car, you can do that as well. Not on Wednesdays, but any other day. And there are these kind of numbered stops you can look at that kind of tell you what you're looking at. This field here, there are meadows, right? This one, you can see the lines in the meadow there. This one is actually they're trying to reclaim it. So the history of the Cades Cove is that back in the 1700s, the Native Americans were the first ones to clear the cove of trees in order to plant and do their hunting and gathering. In the 1800s, it was kind of taken over, I'm sorry to say, by white settlers who settled there and also farmed it. In the early 1900s, around the time the park was built, like in the 1930s, they planted a bunch of fescue grass there to maintain what they thought at the time to maintain the meadows. Fescue is not a native North Carolinian or Tennessee grass. And so now what they're trying to do is eradicate the fescue and get native grasses to grow. So they plow it and burn it once a year to rid it of the fescue, and then overseed with or just let it recover on its own with native North Carolina and Tennessee grasses. There's Leah and myself. We were there not terribly long ago. Had a little bike ride there. You do get to stop at these places. This is actually at the visitor center. So there's, again, probably 20 or 25 numbered stops that you can stop at either on your bike or on your car and take a look at the old farms and the old buildings, and there's old churches and all kinds of old things. This is an old barn. I don't know if you can see right there. That's actually a pass-through. If you look at it, you can actually, the farmers would drive their wagons into there, and then they could toss the bales of hay or whatever they had in the wagon up into the lofts, or drop stuff from the lofts down in there. There's a little brook behind the barn there. This is the mill. So they had constructed this little trough that would funnel water from the river the little creek that I just showed you, to the wheel, which would then grind the corn or whatever the local farmers, local inhabitants would bring to the mill to get their cornmeal, right? Again, another nice little shot just of some of the fields and meadows. Another one there, lots of yellow flowers. These, most of my trips there have been in the fall, and so this is some fall foliage, probably about this time of year, about September. A lot of these, I don't know, again, like Steve, don't know what those plants are. There's just a nice shot with the sun up behind the cloud there. This one was taken from afar. I zoomed in. So I actually took the shot, just the shot normal on my camera. I was surprised how well the butterfly turned out, because I was standing, on the other side of the field, 20, 30, 40 feet away. And then when I zoomed in to make this picture for the slideshow, I was surprised how nice the butterfly turned out there. So there's a little bit of a farther out shot of the same plant, that same purple plant, whatever it may be. Another shot of the same field. Got to see a bear. There he is. I've nicknamed him Smokey the bear, crossing the road. There's another shot. Again, I had to kind of zoom way in on that one, so that one turned out to be a little fuzzy. Tried to maintain you're supposed to maintain like a 50-yard distance if you encounter a bear. I'll just go back. That one was pretty small. I don't think it was quite a cub, or maybe a late cub. Certainly not full grown yet, but didn't show any fear. There's some other people who did on the bike trail who did not, I'm afraid, maintain their distance. So they were closer than I would have liked them to be. You don't want those bears to get acclimated to humans. There's about 1,500 black bears that live in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and it is their natural habitat. So we're the intruders there. We need to give them their space. There's another better shot, him meandering back into the woods after he frightened all the scary bicyclists away. So there's that. Later on, I got to see a copperhead. So there it was in the road, slithering across the road. I kind of stopped and waved off the other bicyclists so they wouldn't squish him. And then he actually made it safely off the road into the rocks on the side of the road. So a little bit of a copperhead there. So yeah, and so that's it. Next, I'll show you, when it comes around to me again, I'll show you some shots from Clingman's Dome, the highest point of the park. So Steve, I guess you're up next.
Okay. All right, got the screen share. Let's see. Okay, Elk Knob State Park. This is north of Boone by about a half hour. Again, we're talking about an area that's a lot cooler during the summer. I was there a few weeks ago. Again, it was 90 in Charlotte, and then the low 70s up on Elk Knob. Elk Knob is a relatively new state park. It actually became a state park in 2003, but the main trail was not really finished until probably a few years ago. It's not that well known, but it's becoming more well known very quickly, especially with people getting out with COVID-19. When I was there a year ago, we saw maybe half dozen people on the trail, and this time maybe 50 on the trail, and that was on a weekday. So get there now before it gets too well known. So this is the hike up to the top of Elk Knob, 5,520 feet. It's a strenuous hike, but not that long, 1.9 miles one way, kind of like a Crowder's Mountain in terms of steepness. But you get these beautiful views at the top. And this is a view looking north. That's another view if you go by that railing over there, looking north. You're really up in the clouds at Elk Knob. Another view and looking north from a side angle. Okay, and then there's another overlook on the other side of the peak, and that's with the southern view. All these are the southern views. And this is a zoom. You can see that ugly tower up on Sugar Mountain in the distance. Okay, so that's it for Elk Knob, and I'll turn it over to Rosemary.
Okay. So I'm going to continue the presentation with the Fisher Peak Loop, which is at the Blue Ridge Music Center off of the Blue Ridge Parkway at mile marker 213. The Blue Ridge Music Center offers outdoor concerts during the summertime. They're having concerts now at a limited capacity because of COVID. So you can Google the Blue Ridge Music Center and see what their venue is for this time of the year. They do have free jam sessions on Sundays from 12 until 4 o'clock. So if you decide you want to see listen to some music, you might come out to do the Blue Ridge Peak Loop while you're there. So the loop is a moderate trail that winds up the side of Fisher Peak through a variety of vegetation. At the lower elevation, the trail follows a stream through mixed pines and hardwoods. It's a 2-mile loop with a 520-foot elevation gain. I've hiked this loop several times through various seasons. It's really a very nice trail to hike. It has a lot of flowers just throughout the year. So this is one of the hikes going on the loop through the forest. So this is down towards the meadow part of the trail. It has some benches, and the benches look out over to the music center. So my guess is that when music is playing, you'll be able to hear that when you're sitting on the benches. Can't really see it because it's a little overgrown. It's just one of the nice parts of I think these are called earth apples, kind of a mushroom. This is witch hazel. I'm not really sure what blooms those are. Spring flowers, dogwoods. These are trout lilies. This is violets. This is part of this stream, and this stream crossing does have a bridge that goes across over the stream, and you can go to the music center from there. And so this is kind of the intersection for the Fisher Loop Peak and the High Meadow Trail that goes over to the Blue Ridge Music Center. So I will turn it back over to Jerry.
All right, so, there we go. Okay, share. Hikes, share. Go into us. I've only got a few shots of the Clingman's Dome. So Clingman's Dome is accessible from a variety of places. The highest point in the park is the highest point in Tennessee, in fact. Not quite 6,000 feet, just under on the exact height. It's got a nice little tower on top. You can drive to it if you feel like driving up it. The Appalachian Trail crosses nearby. I think that's close to the origination. If you go down from Clingman's Dome into the North Carolina side of the park, that's kind of where the Mountains to Sea Trail originates. So lots of trail options for hiking to Clingman's Dome. There's a view from it. There's another view from it. Just some spectacular views. I did want to get in. Most of the hikes that I'm showing you are lower elevation hikes, and so there's lots to offer in the park. There's so much. There's these spectacular hikes that have these beautiful vistas that you can see, across multiple states. And I wanted to get a few of those shots in, but I only had a few pictures of those. I did want to show them to you. Oh, this next one, Porter's Creek, is one of my favorite hikes there. I've done it a number of times. It's an out and back hike. You go in from Greenbrier in Gatlinburg, which is not the main entrance to the park in Gatlinburg, but just a little side entrance, very, very not crowded. There's some lakes and rivers along the way. This is what you're hiking along for the first, say, half of the hike. It's actually an old logging road. There's no cars on it. It's shut off to car traffic, but eminently doable. This is definitely what I would call an easy hike. And they have at the beginning picnic areas, so you can kind of park there, set camp up at your, by set camp up, I mean stake out an area at a picnic table, spread out your, tablecloth and stuff, put your food in your car because there are bears, and then, go on a hike and then come back and relax next to the river. So it does go along a little creek the entire way. You can hear it babbling and frothing the whole way. There's a little picture of it. Another picture of the creek you're walking next to. Beautiful, easy stroll through the woods. There's a nice shot of the creek. If you got kids, you can take them out. You can go. They can kind of scramble along the rocks there. It's not deep. It's not very fast. There's nothing dangerous. This is not like kayaking a kayaking river. So very nice little creek there. Very relaxing. Now, as you're walking along from time to time, and I don't know if you can tell this, this is actually an old, probably a couple hundred years, or at least back into the 1800s, wall, right? So you can see the rocks there. They're now all grown over with moss. But an old rock wall that one of the local farmers, local settlers had built. There's actually a little staircase. So you can see right going up the center, and you got to look for it. But if you look off to the side on the road, you can see these old walls and these old stairways. And it doesn't lead to anything. Whatever was up there, a cabin or whatever, is long since gone. But you can see the old walls, the old staircase. From time to time, if you have sharp eyes, you can spot a little fireplace or a chimney sticking up, but the walls themselves, the cabins themselves, have long since gone away. There's a little flower. There's a blue one. I don't know what it is. I'm just calling that blue. Red. There's a red flower. That I know that's goldenrod, if I'm not mistaken. So I do know that one. So some that really, and these are, again, a lot of my trips, for whatever reason, the last 3 or 4 or 5 years to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park have been in the fall. So these are fall flowers, not spring wildflowers. They are wildflowers, but these are blooming in the autumn of the year. There's another shot of that red, one of those red plants, a much bigger specimen there. So you just got to keep your eyes peeled. Again, this hike does not have the spectacular views into the horizon like some of the hikes in the Great Smoky Mountains do, but some beautiful flowers, some beautiful babbling brooks. There's a mushroom, so plenty of mushroom shots that I got there. At some point, when the dirt road ends, let's say ends, it stops, and now there are some actual trails that go another 2 or 2.5 miles into some campsites, some which you have to reserve ahead of time. In the park, you can do backcountry camping only at designated campsites. And so there's one, I've been to it. I didn't camp there, but I walked in and walked out. But at some point, right where the road ends and the trails and the real trail starts, I saw this sign, historic farm site, 200 yards. Oh my goodness, what is that? Well, you're walking down this trail, and there you're starting to see there's the barn from an old house. As you get closer to it, and then even closer, and you can see the old barn. This was built in about 1875. There, right in the middle, is the pass-through where the farmers could drive their wagons right in, and then there was a big loft. That whole area in the top was not wasted space. That was the loft where they stored their hay and their other corn and their other food supplies. There's a picture of one of the doors. I wanted to show you this as I zoom in. Look at the hinge. It's right. Look at the hinge. Look at the hinge as I zoom in. Right about there. Now I think this door has probably you can see that the hinges. There's no metal, right? This hinge is made out of wood. Now the barn itself is still standing since 1875, about 150 years, whatever that comes to. But the door may have been reconstructed. I don't know if that's the original door or not, but I just found that fascinating, right? Walking past the barn into the rest of the farm, there's a little trail there, and you start to see some other buildings. That one appeared to be, at first, as I got close to it, I thought it was a corn crib, which would have had to be dry, but no, as I got closer to it and looked inside, it actually had, I think it might have been some place where they got their water, because there was a stone floor with a hollowed out place that looked all wet. There's kind of the side of that building. It was all moss grown and stuff. And then behind that was a house. Now this house was not part of the original farm. This was built in the 1930s probably by the people who, when they were first constructing the park. So this was about Well, 1930. So 90 years ago, about 50 years after the barn was built. So closer to the barn age than our age now. But this was built by this Smoky Mountain hiking club. Took them, I guess, 2 years to build, 1934 to 1936. And then, walking back out, some additional flowers. There's some kind of purplish ones and some more yellow flowers that, again, I wish I had known. I have a little pamphlet that lists all the flowers of Appalachia, and I did not have it with me, and I haven't looked it up since, so I don't know, and I'm not a botanist. So but that's a beautiful, beautiful hike. On my next time around, we'll see how much longer we go. If I even have another shot, I can show you the Hen Wallow Falls, which is a beautiful hike, one of the less popular hikes from the Cosby Campground. So over to Rosemary.
Steve.
Oh, Steve. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go right ahead, Steve.
Get this right. Okay. Stone Mountain State Park in Roaring Gap, North Carolina, designated as a World Heritage Site in 1974. You might be familiar with it. It's very popular, beautiful state park, about an hour and a half north of Charlotte, a little bit west of Elkin. If you go up 77, go west of Elkin, a little beyond that. Great granite mountain, beautiful looking. That's a view from down at the bottom. And then you can see, this is a zoom, you can see there are some rock climbers up in the middle there. I've only done the hiking. I'm not a rock climber. We've seen a few snakes there, black snake or rat snake. And one of the few times that I saw a rattlesnake, that's an eastern diamondback rattlesnake, and we kept our distance from that one. So this is the view from up on the top, beautiful view from the granite top of the mountain. It's me up there. That's one crew, one of the hikes that I led, where we just had a small group. And this is when we had a bigger group a couple of years before, I think it was. So the hike goes up. It's a 5-mile loop hike, just strenuous at the beginning, but not that much. I think about 600-foot elevation. Here's one of the old chimneys of a homestead. And on the loop, you first do the mountaintop, then you go through the woods. And as you come around, you see this beautiful waterfall. And I'll just go ahead and wrap up because this is my last one. Table Rock State Park in South Carolina, Pickens, South Carolina. And that's distinguished from Table Rock in North Carolina. This is maybe 2.5 hours southwest of Charlotte. Beautiful trail. Now this is a very strenuous one. Of all the hikes that I've shown, this is like at least twice a Crowder's Mountain. Close to 2,000-foot elevation change and 7 miles round trip up and down. Beautiful boulders are well known on the trail. So it's a nice trail, very steep. And this is midway where there's an open view. This was a hike in the fall. And then finally at the top is this beautiful view of the lake down below. These are all views from the top of Table Rock. And that's Linda, our fearless Outings chair. She was on that hike. And me up there. And that's it. So I'm finished, and I'll turn it over to Rosemary.
Actually, my presentation is complete. So Jerry, do you have something to add?
Sure. I'll show you. I'll show you just one more. I'll be quick about this one, and then we'll kind of wrap up and see if anyone has any questions or comments. So let me just. I'm gonna skip right ahead to. I want to show you hike number 7 here. So this was again. I showed you number 1. That was the Mount Camerer Trail. I showed you Porter's Creek. That was number 4. I showed you a couple of shots from Clingman's Dome. I showed you Cades Cove, which is the lower elevation. I want to show you number 7 here. This is along the Appalachian Trail. So the Appalachian Trail bisects the park. That's this yellow line, which you can see going through the park right here, the Appalachian Trail. And you can park, this red line here is a paved road. You can go up here and park. It's the Newfound Gap, and you can park at the top and hike along the AT in either direction. So one option is to hike along the AT to Clingman's Dome. Another is to go this way to a place called Charlie's Bunyan, and I want to show you that one real quick. So let me scroll down here to Charlie's Bunyan. Where would that be? All right, there was something. That's not it. That's Henwalla Falls. So beautiful. There's lots of waterfall hikes in the park as well. Ramsey Cascades is another beautiful one. That's number 6 here in the map. Here, Charlie's Bunyan. So let me show you this one real quick. So the day we went out there, it was a nice, it's a beautiful day with lots of flowers to look at along the trail. As you're walking along the trail, you're on a ridge on the Appalachian Trail, and you can look down. That's a shot from the trail. We had not yet reached Charlie's Bunyan into the North Carolina side. So as you're walking out from the Newfound Gap, you're going northbound on the AT. North Carolina's on your right, Tennessee's on the left, and you're literally on this ridge with the land sloping off on either side of the trail. It's just a beautiful, beautiful walk. The day we went out there was pretty overcast and cloudy. We did get a few shots. There's some more flowers. There. Again, where the sign for the Appalachian Gap, the trail for the Appalachian Trail there. We did stop at a shelter, and we saw a whole family of deer. These are kind of the 2 best shots. There was the mama, and then there's the little fawn. So I had a couple of other shots that were kind of fuzzy. That shows there was literally a half a dozen of them that were right there in the field grazing as we had lunch at the shelter. So there's another shot. Now we're looking northbound into Tennessee in these shots. You can kind of sort of on that one. You can kind of sort of here. This is the Bunyan itself. The clouds at this time we were several miles out, a couple hours out from our car, and the storm was rolling in. So Leah was with me on this one. It was a beautiful hike, but we were kind of about to get stuck out in the imminent deluge or downfall. Within minutes of taking this shot, you could look out and you couldn't see anything but fog, like literally like 2 feet in front of you. Any more pictures beyond that? There's kind of a shot of the clouds rolling over the top of our heads. So the weather can change dramatically and very quickly in the Smokies. We happened to have a fairly cloudy day. We got pretty, kind of drenched on the way back. Nothing too dangerous, but I don't think too many more really good shots. The Bunyan, so this was a rock face, a rock outcrop. This dude, Charlie, I'm not sure what his name was, back in the 1930s when they were building the park. They were sitting there, him and one of his pals, and they were like, that rock looks just like the bunion on my foot. And that's how the name Charlie's Bunyan came to be. So, another sign for the Appalachian Trail there. So not a lot of great crystal clear shots because of the cloudy weather, but this is a beautiful. It's not as strenuous as you would think, because you drive up Newfound Gap and you're already on the ridge, so you're going across an undulating ridge. I guess I'd call it maybe moderate as opposed to easy, but it's certainly not one of those strenuous ones with a great deal of elevation gain. But a beautiful hike. I want to say it's about 2.5 miles off of from the trailhead where you can park into Charlie's Bunyan, and then another 2.5 back out. So eminently doable in a couple of hours. if you step it out, or you can take your time and do it in 3 or 4 hours. Beautiful hike there. So I guess I'll stop here. I want to thank everyone for joining. Loads more hikes we can do. We'll see what we do next month or going forward. I just focused on the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Maybe next time I'll talk about the Gorge, the Linville Gorge, or maybe the state parks in North Carolina. We've literally, between me and Steve and Rosemary and Linda, if you end up joining us, we have literally hundreds of hikes we can talk about. So again, thanks so much for joining. Y'all have a great Wednesday evening, and peace, love, and trees. Talk to you guys soon.